Guys, the Nigerian Nerd and Combat Culture Africa here to recap UFC 276, Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier, which just concluded in New York at Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. So, hit and not get hit. That's the golden rule of fighting. You want to go in with an entry plan only when you have an exit strategy. My first boxing coach, Marcus Cortez of Pinnacle International Fitness. Shout out to Pinnacle International Fitness on Sheu Shagari Way, Abuja. It's a boxing gym and possibly the best boxing gym in Abuja. But hit and not get hit, no one ever did this. Like, even when I would go to other gyms, when I would train, when I would try to spar people to other gyms, when I would train on offense, no one ever really focused on defense. Even in the UFC, barely anyone does it. Now, fast forward 3 years down the line, it's 2022. Israel is defending his belt versus Cannonier. And I'm watching this fight happen. He's hitting and he's not getting hit. I'm just sitting down taking notes. I'm hearing the crowds scream, boos. I'm hearing people say that they're walking out of the arena because of how boring his style is. Why can't you go in and finish the guy? All arguments about entertainment value aside, right? A champion's worth will ultimately be measured by the length of their reign, not necessarily by the knockouts. You see people making arguments for who is going to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's not necessarily about how unique your knockouts were. No, it's about how long you dominated. How did Stylebender win the Killer Gorilla? It was arithmetic versus geometry. We made some reference to it in the video we did in the build up to UFC 276. Check that out. That's a shameless plug. And what was this event? You know how Marvel movies right now, right, sort of just set up other things that come after them. You had the Scarlet Witch TV show, which just set up Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's what the UFC is doing now. You just have events that are setting up bigger events. This event only sold 400,000 pay-per-view buys. I think that's domestic. So if you add in international figures, it's likely higher. It wasn't a massive event, and they featured 2 champions, Australasian champions, and it could only still do that number. But if you think about it in terms of long term, this event was very good for the UFC because they were just using it to set up Pereira. They made a gamble on Pereira by giving him Sean Strickland, and Pereira knocking him out in that fashion is all they needed. He's grown his highlight reel, and the story for the Israel rematch in the UFC is set up. That event is going to do massive numbers. I don't know when the UFC is going to schedule it. It depends on Israel's team, most likely, because he's the champion. But Israel likes to stay active, so we should be expecting a date very soon. Very, very soon. I do think that there might be some long-term short-sightedness on the part of the UFC with regards to Alex Pereira in this case, because his age, first of all, he's above he's definitely above his mid. I think he's 37, 38. Someone correct me in the comments, please. I am barely speaks. Forget about not speaking English, but the kind of fighters that are in that top 5 of that middleweight division all give him strategic challenges, just stylistically. Like, you have wrestlers, you have good strikers, you have people that give someone who is primarily a kickboxer a lot of trouble. Israel will get appreciated a lot more when Pereira has to fight the people that Israel fought to go up the ladder. Anyway, as usual, we love you guys. We hope you have an amazing week, and peace. Finally, how do you think Pereira versus Stylebender goes? Who do you think wins, and how do you think it goes? I'll see you guys again soon.